Everyone says the first $100,000 is the hardest, but almost no one realizes why. By the time you hit that mark, you have not just scratched the surface, you're already 1/3 of the way to $1 million. The surprising truth is this: the math of compound interest makes your early effort worth far more than it appears, and it flips the entire wealth journey on its head. Why does the climb to $100,000 feel so brutal, and what invisible force suddenly starts working for you? Let us break down what the numbers are hiding. Imagine setting aside $100 every week. The plan sounds simple enough, steady, automatic, almost boring in its routine. But as the months turn into years, a strange frustration sets in. Even after 5 years, with $30,000 of your own money invested, the portfolio barely nudges above $34,000. That extra $4,000 in growth comes from interest, and it feels like a drop in the bucket compared to your effort. The math behind this is both honest and unforgiving. With an 8% annual return compounded over time, your $100 weekly deposits add up to $5,200 a year. After a decade of discipline, you've contributed $52,000 out of your own pocket. Yet the account balance sits at just under $83,000. The difference, about $31,000, comes from compounding, but it still feels like you're carrying most of the weight. Reaching the first $100,000 takes around 12 years. By then you've put in roughly $60,000 yourself. Compound interest has chipped in about $40,000. That means your own contributions make up 60% of the total, while interest covers the rest. The numbers reveal why the early years feel so slow. Your money has not had enough time to multiply on its own. Most of the growth is powered by your persistence, not by the magic of compounding, at least not yet. This is the phase where many people lose patience. The returns seem small, almost insignificant compared to the effort required. It is easy to wonder if the system is broken or if the promise of compounding is just a myth. But the reality is that the heavy lifting happens at the beginning. The grind is real and the rewards are slow to materialize. The formula is working in the background, quietly stacking up gains, but the effect is barely noticeable at first. Every dollar saved in these years is doing double duty, both building your base and setting the stage for the acceleration that follows. The struggle to reach $100,000 is not just about the money. It is about endurance, consistency, and a willingness to keep going even when progress feels invisible. 12 years in, you finally cross the 6-figure mark. Those numbers reflect not just a sum of money, but years of self-discipline. The mountain looks steep from the bottom, and for most of the climb, you are the one pushing every step. But this slow, grinding phase is exactly what sets up the rapid growth that comes next. Crossing the $100,000 threshold changes the entire rhythm of the journey. What once felt like a slow crawl now starts to pick up speed. With the same $100 each week and the same 8% annual return, the next milestone, $200,000, arrives in just 6 more years. That is half the time it took to reach the first $100,000, and the numbers behind this acceleration tell a new story. By year 18, total contributions have climbed to about $110,000. But now the interest earned has surged to $90,000. The split is nearly even. For the first time, the money already in the account is working almost as hard as the person making the deposits. The days of feeling like every dollar has to be pushed uphill are gone. Each contribution is now joined by a growing army of dollars multiplying in the background. The math behind this shift is simple but powerful. In the first 12 years, most of the growth came from personal sacrifice and routine. But over the next 6 years, the effect of compounding becomes impossible to ignore. Interest, once a small bonus, now catches up to the total amount put in by hand. The account grows by nearly $100,000 in just 6 years, without the need to double the effort. This is the tipping point. The momentum has shifted. Instead of dragging the portfolio forward, the saver finds themselves being pulled along by the force of compounding. The numbers on the screen start to jump faster. The feeling of slow progress gives way to a sense of real acceleration. The grind of the early years pays off and the portfolio begins to grow on its own, fueled by the returns it generates. For anyone who has made it this far, the experience is almost electric. The balance climbs not just from steady deposits, but from the invisible work done by the money already invested. The saver becomes a partner with their portfolio. The heavy lifting is no longer a solo act. The math is finally working in their favor. The journey from $200,000 to $1 million does not just speed up, it transforms. With every passing year, the portfolio's growth becomes less about steady deposits and more about the silent force of compounding. The numbers tell the story. Over a span of 36 years, a saver who puts in $100 a week, about $5,200 a year, ends up contributing roughly $180,000 in total. But by the time the account reaches the seven-figure mark, over $820,000 of that final balance comes from interest alone. The effect is staggering. What started as a slow climb now resembles a snowball rolling downhill, picking up speed and size with every rotation. In the early years, each deposit felt like a drop in the ocean. Now the ocean itself is swelling, powered by the earnings on every dollar that is already inside. The portfolio begins to generate its own momentum, growing faster each year without any increase in effort. Once the $1 million mark is reached, the math takes on a new meaning. At an 8% annual return, a $1 million balance produces $80,000 in interest every year. That is more than most full-time salaries, and it arrives without a single extra hour of work. The portfolio is no longer just a savings account. It has become a powerful income engine, capable of sustaining a lifestyle or funding new ambitions. The early grind fades into memory, replaced by the awe of watching money multiply on its own. The numbers are no longer abstract, they are a living demonstration of what patience and persistence can achieve. Sticking with a savings plan for years on end takes more than just math, it takes a certain mindset. The early phase demands grit, but the real advantage comes from a mental shift that turns patience into power. For many, the first glimpse of real acceleration, a sudden noticeable jump in the account balance, creates a jolt of motivation. That moment is not just exciting, it changes how people view every dollar that comes in. Instead of seeing a dollar as something to spend, it starts to look like a seed that could grow into 10 or even 100 down the line. This shift in thinking is more than wishful optimism. Behavioral research shows that savers who treat each contribution as a building block for future freedom are more likely to stick with their plan, even during slow stretches. The habit of regular saving, once established, becomes almost automatic. Over time, small increases in weekly deposits, just a few extra dollars here and there, can shave years off the journey. As income rises, these bumps become easier to manage and the compounding effect only gets stronger. The feeling of progress is a powerful force. Each time the balance jumps by a meaningful amount, it reinforces the habit and makes the next deposit feel less like a sacrifice and more like an investment in a bigger future. What once felt like a grind becomes a game where the goal is to see just how fast the numbers can grow. The math stays the same, the psychology flips. Patience is no longer a burden. It is the secret weapon that makes the whole system work. Right now, millions of people are still grinding toward that first $100,000, unaware they are standing at the gateway to exponential growth. Compound interest is not just math, it is momentum. The effort you put in today rewrites the possibilities for tomorrow. The real illusion is thinking you are just getting started.